Ahead of Edo and Ondo governorship election, Press Secretary to the INEC chairman, Rotimi Oyekomi, has called on media to be careful of how they report, not to cause problem or breach of peace during election, as many political gladiators will be calling to report what they like to them that may not be the real position of things. Noted that the media must counter all forms of misinformation and fake news that may disrupt election process. Oyekomi said this during a one-day workshop and briefing with INEC press corps in Abuja ahead of Edo and Ondo election. He therefore charges media to hold politicians accountable, also asks media not to give room for religious line in the report but educate electorate.
So there are aspects of the 1999 Constitution that relate to INEC and election. Just read that part. Then the Electoral Act 2022, the INEC regulations and guidelines. If all of us are familiar with all the sections of these documents, honestly it will be easy for us to counter fake news and even educate our guys back in the office about what INEC does and routine it does. So when INEC takes a decision, we won't say INEC is trying to support this or that. No. I can't say this enough. Facts are separate. No matter the temptation, don't allow bias into news reporting. Just state the facts. I'm very, very particular about that. And for me, that is what defines a journalist.
Section 22 of the 1999 Constitution says this about the media. It says, the press, radio, television, and other agents of the mass media shall at all times be free, to uphold the fundamental objectives contained in this chapter and uphold the responsibility and accountability of the government to the people. Under Section 14, subsection 1, says that the Federal Republic of Nigeria, shall be a state based on the principle of democracy and social justice. So that it should be taken for granted that we will always be a democratic country until this constitution is amended. 2A, this is extremely important. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. And B says that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government, and the participation by the people in their government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. So the constitution is asking the media to hold the government accountable through this and to remind anybody in power that he or she got there through the will of the people. Sovereignty is not to the president. Sovereignty belongs to the people who elect government. And that makes the media, for me, the most powerful entity in this country.
Like they are campaigning now, we will build 200 schools. We will build 10 hospitals. Please record those things. And look at the timeline they give. After that time, if they don't do it, ask them. Okay, we play the key for them. This is what you said. What have you done? It's our duty. You know, no chief press secretary can tell you not to do so. Even me, if I'm chief president of the governor, I'll say, Mr. Governor, is true. Then let us answer. Are you about to do it, or you are not doing it, or not? Because that is what the voters will hang on when we go back to ask for the election.
So the constitution is asking the media to hold the government accountable through this and to remind anybody in power that he or she got there through the will of the people. Sovereignty is not to the president. Sovereignty belongs to the people who elect government. And that makes the media, for me, the most powerful entity in this country. Government don't like this role. And even heads of institutions don't like this role. But it is what the constitution says we should do. And we must concentrate. Accountability. We must hold people accountable for what they do according to the rules of the game. If somebody is in office, or somebody is the vice chancellor of a university, or somebody governor of a state, there are rules through which he is expected to govern and act. If he doesn't follow the rule, he has to be made accountable. For the funds that he's spending, he has to account for it.
The the media also has a responsibility to counter disinformation and fake news. This is very important. And there are so many organizations now, thankfully, that are into fact-checking. And I think as journalists, we also have the responsibility of devising our own means of fact-checking, of carrying out, checks on what people say to us. If you see something on social media, or even your editor can call you, or your general manager can call you and say, this is happening. There has to be a way of finding out and educating some of the editors. The editors are in the newsroom, they don't know what is going on. People call them and they see something on social media, but you're on the field and you have that responsibility to tell them that, look, this is what is happening, and in your report, you reflect what is really, really going on. This is important because what you write can jeopardize the election. I'm telling you. You may think it's a small thing, but that small thing can snowball into a big thing. For instance, there was a time that we conducted Osun governorship election, and for some reason, the form E60E that was pasted at a particular polling unit had to be removed because there was a mistake on it. The next thing we had was that INEC wanted to change the result. One of the candidates went to town with that, and they descended on that ad hoc staff and beat him into stupor, only for them to realize that it was just a mistake that the person was trying to correct. In fact, that fake news was repeated by Davido at that time, for you to know just how destructive fake news are. Whereas later, when the truth came out, the so-called politician had to apologize. But you see, they can't take away all the wounds that they had inflicted on the poor gentleman that was beaten.
Of course, countering fake news, disinformation will be very, very difficult without your cooperation. Because when you reflect the truth, then the people in the business of fake news will not have anything to do. So Nigerians are better informed, and thanks to your collective efforts. So my appeal is, please let us sustain the relationship for the sake of the country and democracy.
Gbemiga Olamiko, GTV Africa.